Hi folks, happy Thursday. Hope everyone is good. So yesterday I put up on my page that I'm starting into an 8-week fat loss phase on Monday. So I just thought today I'd do like a little vlog of my training. I'm about to go in and do a gym session and a little bit about my food then as well. So I know I said that Monday is kind of the official starting date, but I want to kind of get going with a habits-based approach with my food and just kind of get a grip on the main non-negotiables. Main thing being nutrition, water intake and steps. So I said Monday because Saturday night is my engagement party, so I'm not kind of jumping the gun and trying to be perfect straight away, which I think is really important as well, you know, kind of pre-accepting that I will be going over calories and stuff like that on Saturday, you know, and kind of but want to get my head into the right place before I go into that on Monday then as well. So about to head into Horsepower Gym here in Longford. I'll take you through a little session, probably be more full body based today. The legs are feeling a little bit taxed after the running this week so far. So I have a nice bit of, I suppose, well, a few kilometres under the belt this week so far, hoping to get a third run in before the weekend. And I'm also togging out for a rugby match on Saturday. So not expecting too much game time because I'm only back the last 2 weeks, so that's 100% fair enough. But yeah, I thought I'd bring you through just a couple of bits today and give you an insight into, I suppose, how to kind of get started into a fat loss journey, because I think that's the hardest part for people, is the starting point. And once you get started, then, you know, you kind of develop a couple of things that you can sustain. That's a really important part, but definitely getting started is the hardest part. So, you know, not to kind of aim for perfection too quickly. Like, you know, I know myself after Saturday, I probably will be feeling a little bit sluggish. The energy might be low as well. So if I kind of make a couple of things stick now before then, by just being consistent with certain things like food, what I'm aiming for, I'm not kind of counting calories until Monday, but what I'm aiming for is like 3 main meals, 2 snacks per day, you know, a decent protein intake in each of those 3 main meals to keep me full and satisfied. And, you know, that would be a pretty good place. That's normally what I always do on a day-to-day basis anyways, try and focus on that with my food. But just kind of being more mindful to maybe extra snacking that I was doing over the last couple of weeks, just because cravings were higher, a little bit more out of touch with my food then as well. So anyway, I'm going to head into Horsepower here and get stuck into a session. Yes. Hi. Yes. Good boy. So just back from the gym there, solid session, just went for a little bit of strength work. So like 1 main exercise for lower body, 1 upper body, shoulder dominant exercise, 1 back exercise, and a small bit of kind of accessory work in between, and then finish off on the treadmill. So I suppose my main goal with training at the minute isn't to work on my strength. Like, I'm pretty happy with where my strength is. That's probably the one thing that I've been most consistent with, is my training. It's kind of just a non-negotiable for me on a daily basis to do some training, just because it makes me feel good. And I suppose I'm trying to work a little bit more on my cardio base then as well. So, and not because, you know, I have the goal of fat loss, but it's just because that's kind of where I'm at in my own fitness journey at the minute. I feel like my strength levels are pretty okay. So just kind of want to work on the cardio based stuff and kind of add in more finishers to my workouts. And like it's important for someone who might be starting on a fat loss journey not to kind of think that they need to do really high intense work all the time, or go for really cardio based exercises or sessions, or go for long runs, because when you're in a fat loss journey, the goal is to be in a calorie deficit, and when you do more of those higher intensity workouts, it's going to take up a lot more energy, and it's going to be a lot harder to stay in that calorie deficit, because you're basically, you know, in an energy imbalance. So it's important to kind of monitor your sessions that you're doing, making sure that you're not overtaxing yourself, but you're still working out pretty well. And that's kind of an important thing as well. This time last year when I was training for the half marathon, I was in a fat loss phase as well. You know, I'm coming towards the end of my fat loss phase, which was actually when the half marathon was coming as well. You know, I needed to bump up my calories because the kilometers I were doing were pretty high, and I needed to make sure that I was recovering properly and then fueling my sessions properly as well, that I will be able to, you know, continue training that to that intensity. And so I think that's a really important thing as well for people to understand when they go into a fat loss journey. The way that they train is important, not to kind of overtax themselves too much, and to kind of have a nice balance there, that they don't become overtaxed and that they're able to, I suppose, recover properly as well. So just going to make protein shake now. I'm not overly hungry after that gym session. You know, one thing that I've found has helped me in the past in fat loss phases is kind of pushing out my breakfast time, you know, and allowing my body to adapt to that energy imbalance. You know, and I suppose something that I wouldn't do all the time either, because it would depend on my timings when I'd get back to have more food and stuff like that as well. But it definitely has helped me in the past to push out the breakfast time and allow my body to adapt to that then as well, which is known as metabolic adaptation, where you're kind of, you know, letting your body run off of, I suppose, lower fuel for a longer period of time. You could say intermittent fasting is something similar, but I wouldn't do intermittent fasting myself now. I'd kind of just focus on maybe pushing out the breakfast on certain days where I can. Like for example, this morning I wasn't on the morning shift in my own gym coaching. I'm heading in there now for 10:30 to do 2 PTs. So I was able to, I suppose, push out the breakfast, go for my gym session, get it done early, and come home. I'm going to have a shake, and then my first, I suppose, main meal will be after the PTs around lunchtime. So that's kind of the way I'm going to focus on it for the time being. But anyway, I'll show you a few clips of how I make this protein shake. So I've just made my post-gym protein shake or smoothie, and it's absolutely unreal. So it's really simple to make. I popped in some peanut butter in there as well, and it makes such a difference. So 10 grams of peanut butter. I have some ice in there, which kind of makes it more like that smoothie blend. We've frozen fruit, we have almond milk, we've Greek yogurt, we've a scoop of protein powder. So I always go for Optimum Nutrition's brand. I find they really blend nicely with the likes of yogurt and oats, and the taste is really nice. It's not kind of that gritty taste. So it's the vanilla ice cream flavour. So yeah, so it's a really easy thing to kind of digest and take in maybe after a gym session, and it's quick and handy for me. I'm rushing now to go back to my gym for some coaching, so yeah, it's really, really nice. So it's now coming up to around 12:30. I have my 2 morning PT sessions done. I have a lot of admin work to get done on the laptop as well. I'm going to try and record a podcast, but now I'm going to go into SuperValu and pick up something for dinner. So I'm thinking maybe like sweet potato cubes and some salmon, some veg. And after this, I'll be having my lunch at home. So I'm thinking maybe chicken bagel, some eggs on the side should hit the spot. But yeah, busy morning so far. I'll be spending a while on the laptop now as well, like sitting down and stuff. So I'm going to make sure and try and get a few extra steps in this evening, which is something I've been lacking in the last while, you know, my step count, especially when, you know, I've had more laptop work to do, which is great because, you know, my online coaching service is going well, but it requires me to, you know, have a lot more time sedentary wise, you know, getting back to clients, check-ins, and just doing bits of admin as well for the gym on the laptop. So I'm just trying to be more conscious to get my step count up, but I'll head in now and I'll pick up something for dinner. So you seen there, I'm making my lunch and I'm having a bagel with some pre-cooked chicken, some Nando's sauce as well. It's actually Aldi's own peri peri mayonnaise. It's really, really nice. I actually prefer it to the Nando's one. And then I have some eggs. So I have 2 eggs, 1 egg white, and I mix in some smoked paprika with that, some salt and pepper, mix it up, pop it on the pan for couple of seconds and it cooks. So that is a perfect lunch idea that's going to be high protein, and that's definitely going to keep me full for a big part of the day until the evening time. So I picked up actually some baby potatoes. I'm going to have that with some salmon, some broccoli this evening. So I suppose the biggest thing when it comes to being in a calorie deficit is to make the most out of your 3 main meals and to try and volumize them as much as you can. You know, a lot of people tend to skip meals and they tend to eat very little in their actual 3 main meals, and that's kind of the worst thing you can do because that's where the hunger will just skyrocket, go really high. So like the aim should be to eat as much nutrient dense food within your calorie allowance when you're in a calorie deficit, just to keep you satisfied, to keep you full, and to kind of avoid those, you know, slumps that you might hit during the day. And it's so important to kind of get a dose of protein in early in the day then as well. Try and front load your calories rather than skipping meals early in the day and then becoming really, really hungry come maybe 3-4 o'clock. You end up snacking on bits and pieces before dinner. It's one of the worst things that you can do, especially when you're trying to lose some fat. So, you know, looking at different foods to see where you can maybe get more satiety out of them. So for me, I'm going to try and change up to eating more potatoes, simply because I eat a lot of basmati rice and I find as though it's not been filling me very well lately. And potatoes have like the highest index for satiety, you know, there. So it's really, really good to kind of look at different foods, see what you can maybe substitute in and out of your main meals. It's not all about taking away those calories from the main meals. It's about trying to volumize them as much as you can so that you stay full. So I suppose the biggest thing when it comes to being in a calorie deficit is to make the most out of your 3 main meals and to try and volumize them as much as you can. You know, a lot of people tend to skip meals and they tend to eat very little in their actual 3 main meals, and that's kind of the worst thing you can do because that's where the hunger will just skyrocket, go really high. So like the aim should be to eat as much nutrient dense food within your calorie allowance when you're in a calorie deficit, just to keep you satisfied, to keep you full, and to kind of avoid those, you know, slumps that you might hit during the day. And it's so important to kind of get a dose of protein in early in the day then as well. Try and front load your calories rather than skipping meals early in the day and then becoming really, really hungry come maybe 3-4 o'clock. You end up snacking on bits and pieces before dinner. It's one of the worst things that you can do, especially when you're trying to lose some fat. So, you know, looking at different foods to see where you can maybe get more satiety out of them. So for me, I'm going to try and change up to eating more potatoes, simply because I eat a lot of basmati rice and I find as though it's not been filling me very well lately. And potatoes have like the highest index for satiety, you know, there. So it's really, really good to kind of look at different foods, see what you can maybe substitute in and out of your main meals. It's not all about taking away those calories from the main meals. It's about trying to volumize them as much as you can so that you stay full. So I'm going to get this into me now and going to do some laptop work, and I will be back in the gym later on this evening, and I'm looking forward to cooking those salmon darns later on. So I'm just out getting a few steps now, guys. I had a busy day actually. They were doing work in the gym there. There's a new roof gone on in the last 2 weeks, and they were putting on a new door there as well on the gym. So I was under pressure to try and get it cleaned up before the evening classes, but it was all good. So yeah, as I was saying before, like my step count generally isn't like amazing or anything like that. Early on in the week, especially when I'm doing a lot of check-in work on the laptop, a lot of admin, my steps will be pretty low, so I try and catch up on them later on in the week. And like, you know, because I have long, I suppose, durations of time sitting down during the day early on in the week, I just try and take like a couple of 10 to 15 minute breaks to try and get out for a few steps just down the lane here, and that's kind of what people should aim for, I think. You know, when it comes to step counts, there's no like magic number. All I say to clients is try and get maybe 1,000 to 2,000 extra steps every couple of days per week, you know, above what you're getting now on average. It doesn't have to be hitting 10k steps a day to, you know, be better for fat loss or anything like that. A little bit more than what you're doing now is always going to be a good shout. You know, and it's important to set yourself with realistic targets in anything that you do in your fat loss journey, whether it be with the calories that you're going on, whether it be with the workouts that you're doing, and then whether it be with the steps that you assign yourself to do. So, you know, taking those couple of 10 to 15 minute breaks during the day, just move around. It doesn't even have to be going for a walk down a road or anything like that. It could be simply, you know, going up and down the stairs and work, or just going to the printer and work, you know, stuff like that. Because any bit of movement is going to help you digest food, it's going to help you burn calories, and you're just going to feel better for it then in the long run as well. So it's important not to set the targets too high or, you know, too ambitious, but, you know, to be kind of conscious of getting a few extra steps in where you can is going to be a big help. So guys, for dinner I'm going to be making some salmon fillets. I've got some broccoli here as well, and I've also got some good old spuds, okay? So actually looking forward, I'm going to make some cubes out of these. I'll boil them first, then put them in the air fryer, and then look, it looks pretty simple and pretty plain, but what I'm going to do with the salmon fillets is I'm going to put a nice sauce in them. So I'm going to use light soy sauce, some sweet chili, Blue Dragon sauce, and then I might put in some honey as well, just kind of give it some flavour. I'll put them in the air fryer as well then afterwards. So yeah, really looking forward to this. Make sure you watch along to see how I make it all come together.